Once upon a time, getting dressed meant something, and you'd wake up, open your closet, and instinctively know what belonged to the day ahead. There were outfits for work, for worship, for weddings, for the world outside your door. Clothing wasn't just decoration, it was communication. It said who you were, where you were going, and that you understood the unspoken rhythm of time and place. But somewhere along the way, the language began to die. Go to a wedding now and you'll see a woman in a silk gown standing beside a man in sneakers and jeans. Walk through an airport and you'll find someone wearing pressed trousers next to another in flannel pajama pants. Even funerals, once defined by solemn black attire, are sprinkled with casual hoodies and bright colors. The phrase time and place no longer seems to mean much. It's not just that people have gotten lazy or that fashion has become casual. Something deeper is happening. We are witnessing the death of dress codes, and with it, the quiet unraveling of how we express respect, aspiration, and belonging through what we wear. For centuries, clothing carried social meaning. It was a kind of cultural choreography, subtle but binding. A black dress meant mourning, a white one purity or celebration. A pressed suit meant ambition, effort, and respect. Dress codes weren't just about control, they're about coherence, a way for a fragmented society to agree, if only for a moment, on what mattered. Now, those shared meanings have collapsed. The uniformity of the past has given way to a kind of aesthetic anarchy, where personal style reigns supreme. Yet paradoxically, everything starts to look the same. We no longer dress for the event, we dress for the algorithm, the mirror, or the mood we woke up in. On TikTok, Get Ready With Me videos have replaced etiquette manuals. The audience isn't the people you'll see in real life. It's the anonymous crowd scrolling past your outfit online. In this new world, context has vanished. Time, place, occasion, all blurred by convenience, comfort, and content creation. This isn't just a fashion story, it's a cultural one. Because nobody knows how to dress anymore. It's not just about clothes. It's about what happens when meaning itself goes out of style. Hello everyone, my name is Laura and welcome to my channel. Chapter 1, From Uniform to Expression, the Lost Language of Dress. Once, getting dressed wasn't just personal, it was participatory. It was a way of stepping into society, of signaling that you understood the invisible choreography of belonging. Clothes carried codes, and those codes spoke volumes. A hat tipped just so, a hemline adjusted. A pair of gloves for an afternoon outing. These weren't just aesthetic choices, they were gestures of respect, of awareness. For much of the 20th century, dress was a form of social fluency. Everyone, regardless of class or culture, understood the rules. There was school clothes, church clothes, travel clothes, and house clothes. Sunday best wasn't just about faith, it was about reverence, about presenting your most polished self to the world as a mark of dignity. Even the act of preparing one's outfit, ironing, polishing shoes, setting out jewelry, was ritualistic, an intimate ceremony that bridged the private and the public. The mid-century wardrobe was full of symbolism. A neatly pressed suit wasn't just a uniform at work. It was a declaration of self-respect and ambition. A woman's tailored dress, cinched at the waist, reflected not only beauty ideals, but also the unspoken social expectation of composure. Travel once demanded elegance, gloves and a hat for the train, a pressed dress for the flight. Not because it was practical, but because movement itself was an event. There was pride in presentation. To look put together was to honor the moment. But as the 1960s unfolded, so did a revolution. Not only in politics and art, but in the very fabric of identity. The counterculture movement didn't just reject authority, it rejected the uniforms that represented it. Denim, once the mark of laborers, became a symbol of rebellion. The suit, once a badge of status, became a symbol of conformity. Comfort began to eclipse ceremony, and authenticity became the new ideal. By the 1970s, fashion's language had splintered. Instead of one shared code, there were dozens: bohemian, punk, disco, preppy, each with its own dialect, each representing not society as a whole, but the tribe you chose to belong to. Clothing, once shared vocabulary, became fragmented into subcultures. The democratization of style gave birth to freedom, but also confusion. Then came the corporate era of the 1980s, when power dressing reintroduced a kind of uniformity. Shoulder pads and structured suits weren't about modesty or propriety anymore. They were about ambition. The office became a stage, and the suit its costume. Yet even this new uniform began to erode by the 1990s. Casual Friday crept into the workplace, softening the boundaries between professional and personal life. Minimalism followed. Neutral palettes, unstructured silhouettes, a studied kind of effortlessness that suggested sophistication without excess. What began as freedom from formality soon became freedom from effort. Dressing down became a badge of authenticity. To be too polished was to seem false, to seem like you were trying. The once clear lines between occasion and attire blurred. Jeans replaced slacks, sneakers replaced heels, hoodies, once confined to the gym, became everyday wear. Even in high fashion, the language of elegance began to sound outdated, spoken only by those who still believed in occasion. And yet, something was lost in translation. When clothing stopped speaking to context, it stopped speaking altogether. The quiet social contract that said, I recognize this moment and I've dressed to meet it, dissolved. In its place came a culture of aesthetic individualism that often feels strangely hollow, where we dress for ourselves, yet rarely feel connected to others. The disappearance of dress codes didn't just change how we look, it changed how we move through the world. Without shared expectations, dressing up began to feel optional or even performative. The morning ritual of preparing oneself for the day became another casualty of convenience culture, an afterthought squeezed between scrolling and rushing. We tell ourselves this is liberation, that to wear anything anytime is a mark of progress, but perhaps what we've really lost is the sense of occasion itself. When every day is casual, nothing feels special. When every outfit is acceptable, nothing feels intentional. There was a time when clothes helped us mark the rhythm of life, beginnings, endings, and arrivals. Now that rhythm has flattened into sameness, and beneath the surface of our so-called freedom, there lingers a quiet nostalgia, a longing for a time when getting dressed meant, in some small but certain way, showing up for the world. Chapter 2, The Internet Killed the Occasion. The internet didn't just change how we communicate, it changed where we exist. In the past 2 decades, our lives have migrated almost entirely online. Work, friendship, flirtation, and leisure all happen through screens now. And as our physical world shrank to the size of a glowing rectangle, so did our reasons to get dressed. Once you dressed for the day ahead, for the train, the office, the dinner, the errand, the encounter. You moved through spaces that demanded your presence, and clothing marked that transition. But today, the geography of our lives is flat. Home, work, entertainment, and intimacy all occupy the same digital square. The boundaries that once defined our appearance, morning versus evening, weekday versus weekend, public versus private, have dissolved. When every moment looks the same, why bother changing your clothes? The rise of remote work made this literal. During the pandemic, we collectively discovered a new species of fashion, waist-up style, crisp blouses paired with sweatpants, blazers over bralettes, jewelry added just out of frame. The screen demanded a curated version of ourselves, tidy from the collarbone up, chaotic below. Dressing became half performative, half optional, guided not by place but by the size of the Zoom window. But even before lockdown, the internet had already begun reshaping our sense of occasion. We were entering the age of perpetual presence, always available, always visible, always online. The private self and the public self collapsed into a constant broadcast. And when there's no real difference between staying in and going out, the need for sartorial transformation disappears. Athleisure became the aesthetic of this new in-between life. Sleek, stretchy, and ambiguously purposeful. Leggings that could pass as trousers. Hoodies rebranded as elevated basics. Sneakers worn with blazers. It was comfort disguised as intention. Loungewear once confined to lazy Sundays became airport chic and street style. The clothes we once changed out of to re-enter the world became the very uniform we wear to it. And in this post-occasion era, something subtle shifted. Instead of asking, what's appropriate for dinner, we began asking, does this fit the vibe? The vibe replaced the venue. This new vocabulary sounds harmless, even modern, but it signals a profound cultural change. A vibe is emotional, fluid, personal. It belongs to the individual, not the collective. A venue, by contrast, is communal. It implies shared expectations, shared codes of behavior and appearance. When the venue disappears, so does the social contract that binds us together. In digital culture, the self becomes a venue. The For You page is your audience, the mirror your stage. The only dress code that matters now is the one dictated by algorithms, the invisible curators of taste that tells us what's aspirational this week. Our outfits are no longer chosen for an occasion. They're chosen for visibility. A dinner party might go undocumented, but an outfit posted to Instagram could reach thousands. The incentive to perform visually rather than socially has replaced the intimacy of shared experience. We no longer dress to arrive somewhere, we dress to appear somewhere, and that somewhere isn't physical, it's digital. Scroll through TikTok or Instagram and you'll see entire aesthetics built not around events but moods. That girl, dark academia, clean girl, vanilla girl. These identities aren't about living a certain kind of life, they're about looking like you do. Dressing has become an act of digital curation, where each outfit is a keyword in a search engine of personality. Even our milestones have migrated online. Birthdays are for posts, vacations are for content, weddings are live streamed, funerals are memorialized through hashtags. The outfit, once a tactile expression of reverence or celebration, becomes a thumbnail image to scroll past. And the consequences go deeper than fashion. We stop dressing for real life occasions. We begin to lose our sense of ritual, those small deliberate acts that anchor us in time. The anticipation of a special outfit, the transformation that comes with it, the sensory experience of fabric, perfume, and jewelry. These were the ways of preparing ourselves to be present. Now preparation feels outdated. We're expected to be ready at all times, filtered and framed for consumption. The internet didn't just make life faster, it made it flatter. Every day looks the same, every moment blurs into the next. When there's no boundary between the digital and the real, we lose the emotional punctuation marks that once gave life rhythm, the pauses, the peaks, the costume changes. In this landscape, dressing up feels almost radical. To choose an outfit that belongs to a specific moment that says, "This matters," is to resist the numbing sameness of the feed. It's to declare that not every moment is equal, that some deserve intention, ceremony, and care. Because the internet may have killed the occasion, but it's up to us to decide whether that means we stop creating them altogether. Chapter 3. Comfort Culture and the Disappearance of Effort. If the 20th century prized polish, the 21st century worships comfort. The mantra of modern dressing sounds deceptively empowering. Do what feels good, dress for yourself. Whatever makes you happy. It's the language of liberation, a rebellion against restrictive beauty standards and suffocating dress codes. But underneath that freedom lies something quieter, heavier and more telling. Fatigue. We are tired. After decades of productivity culture, wellness routines, and endless glow-up content, women especially are exhausted from the performance of perfection. Dressing up used to be an act of pride. Even pleasure, a daily ritual of transformation. Now it feels like another arena of scrutiny. What was once an intimate expression of self has become a public test of authenticity. To look put together risks being seen as vain, fake, or trying too hard. The rise of comfort culture, the oversized sweaters, the stretchy waistbands, the matching sweatsuit that blur home and public life, didn't appear out of nowhere. It was born out of burnout. When the world demanded constant optimization, the body finally revolted. We traded heels for sneakers, tailoring for knits, ritual for rest. The sweatpants revolution wasn't about laziness, it was about survival. But as comfort became the new aesthetic ideal, something subtle was lost. Effort, once a symbol of self-respect and pride, became almost shameful. To appear like you tried is now seen as performative and out of touch. The new currency of cool is ease, the illusion of effortless beauty, effortless success, and effortless style. Ironically, it takes more work than ever to appear like you're not working at all. Scroll through social media and you'll see the paradox everywhere. Clean girl minimalism, the dewy bare-faced glow, requires expensive skincare, curated lighting, and constant upkeep. The model off-duty look demands the right designer basics, the perfect messy bun, the $300 sweatshirt that says "I don't care," in the chicest possible way. We've traded one kind of discipline for another, only now the labor is invisible. Historically, effort was seen as a virtue. In the early 20th century, women pressed their blouses, polished their shoes, and styled the hair not merely for others but as a gesture of dignity, a way of saying, I take myself seriously. There was respect embedded in the act of trying. The morning mirror wasn't a sight of insecurity, but of intention. But today, sincerity itself has become suspect. To care openly, to adorn oneself earnestly, feels almost embarrassing in a culture that values irony, detachment, and minimalism above all else. Our obsession with effortlessness says less about comfort and more about fear, the fear of being seen as too much, too eager, too feminine, too invested in beauty. To dress up sincerely, to take time with your appearance, is to reveal vulnerability. It shows that you care, that you want. And in culture that rewards emotional coolness and curated detachment, wanting is the ultimate faux pas. So we hide our desire behind oversized silhouettes and neutral tones. We call it low maintenance, but really it's armor. Dressing comfortably lets us disappear into softness, into safety. It shields us from judgment, the male gaze, from female competition, from our own reflection. After years of being told to perform perfection, comfort became the quiet rebellion. But rebellion has a way of becoming its own uniform. Dressing down has become a kind of moral posture, a way to signal authenticity, humility, even intelligence. We equate polish with superficiality, and simplicity with depth. The result is a paradox, a world where everyone claims to dress for themselves, but somehow everyone looks the same. The cult of comfort has replaced the cult of glamour, and yet both are rooted in performance. We like to believe we transcended the old rules, that by rejecting the corset, the girdle, the high heel, we've achieved freedom. But maybe what we've lost is not just the pain of restriction. Maybe we've lost the pleasure of intention, the small thrill of dressing up, the ritual of choosing, preparing, and adorning. The sense of getting ready for the day was a way of showing reverence for yourself, for others, for the world. It's no coincidence that this shift mirrors the larger emotional tone over time. We live in an age of irony and exhaustion. Everything is content, everything is performance, and sincerity feels risky. Dressing beautifully, earnestly, becomes almost radical, an act of care in a culture allergic to it. Comfort culture began as a refuge, a way to reclaim autonomy from systems that demanded too much. But now it risks becoming another system entirely, one that equates softness with self-erasure and the ease of apathy. When every outfit must appear effortlessness, where is the space for artistry, personality, or play? Because the truth is, effort is not the enemy. Effort is devotion. It's presence. It's the tactile expression of intention. The same attention that once defined the feminine rituals of getting ready, setting a table, writing a letter. To put effort into something, even something as simple as your outfit, is to declare that the moment is worthy of your care. So perhaps the question isn't whether we should abandon comfort, it's whether we can reclaim intention within it. Because comfort without intention becomes complacency, and dressing without care becomes another form of disappearance. We may not want to return to the era of corsets and conformity, but maybe, just maybe, we can bring back something gentler, the quiet pleasure of trying. Because effort in the end isn't vanity, it's a way of saying, I'm here, I showed up. This moment matters. Chapter 4, Dressing for the Camera and the Rise of Algorithmic Style. Once we dress for the room, now we dress for the frame. Before the internet, an outfit lived and died in a moment, in a hallway, a dinner table, a photograph you might never see again. Getting dressed was an act of presence, a way of showing up for life itself. But in the age of the front-facing camera, we no longer dress for where we're going, we dress for who might be watching. Every mirror is now a stage, and every outfit is a piece of content waiting to be consumed. Social media has turned self-presentation into self-production. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube have blurred the line between style and branding, turning the most personal act, choosing what to wear, into a public performance of identity. The Get Ready With Me video or Get Ready With Me epitomize this shift. It's not really about clothes, it's about curation, the soft lighting, the lo-fi music, the gentle voiceover explaining the thought process behind the outfit. What used to be an intimate morning ritual has become a form of lifestyle theater. The mirror used to be private, a space for reflection, both literal and emotional. Now it's a portal. The reflection isn't for us anymore, it's for them, the followers, the viewers, and the algorithm. And in this quiet exchange, something sacred has changed. Dressing has become a kind of choreography for the digital gaze. But here's the paradox. The more individuality we claim to express online, the more identical we become. The digital world thrives on pattern recognition. Algorithms don't reward originality. They reward familiarity. They amplify what's already been proven to perform. So while each of us believes we're cultivating our own personal aesthetic, we're often just participating in mass replication, subtle variations of the same visual theme. Scroll long enough and you'll notice it. The same slick back bun, the same gold hoops, the same beige trench coat, the same Dior lip oil glinting under the soft sunlight. Whether it's clean girl, quiet luxury, mall wife, or coquette, these trends all promise individuality but deliver uniformity. We dress differently, but somehow we all look the same. This is the age of algorithmic style, a kind of fashion Darwinism where only the most digestible looks survive. Outfits are chosen not for comfort, meaning, or context, but for how they'll photograph, how they'll fit into a feed, how they'll perform under the cold light of virality. Even authenticity has become a filter. The messier you look, the more real you seem, as long as it's the right kind of messy, the kind that still fits within a certain aesthetic logic. Fashion used to be cyclical, guided by designers, subcultures, and the slow evolution of taste. Now it's instantaneous, driven by algorithms that collapse time and geography. A look worn by a girl in Seoul appears on a woman in Paris within days, replicated by influencers in New York by the end of the week. Trends no longer rise and fall, they surge and evaporate. A micro-aesthetic can dominate TikTok for a month and vanish before it reaches the high street. In this endless churn, we've lost not just originality, but orientation. And it's not just about aesthetics, it's about intent. Dressing has become a form of content creation, not communication. The outfit is no longer a means of participating in culture. It is the culture. It's an image detached from lived experience, a performance of aspiration, designed to be captured, edited, and shared. There's a haunting irony here. The death of dress codes was supposed to liberate us. We broke free from the rigidity of uniforms, the pressure of conformity, the tyranny of appropriate attire. But in doing so, we handed the power over to a far less forgiving authority, the algorithm. A system that doesn't just dictate what's in, but how long it stays that way. In this economy of aesthetics, personal style has become both currency and cage. We are encouraged to find our brand, to curate a consistent visual identity that's instantly recognizable. The problem is, real people aren't brands. We change, we contradict ourselves, we evolve, but online, inconsistency is punished. The algorithm doesn't understand nuance, it rewards predictability. So we learn to dress not according to mood or moment, but according to metrics. Even luxury fashion has bent this logic. Once symbols of craftsmanship and exclusivity, designer brands now chase viral relevance, creating pieces meant to photograph well rather than last. Runway collections are designed for screenshots. Street style outside Fashion Week is more important than what happens inside. A handbag's worth isn't measured by its stitching or leather, but by how often it appears on social feeds. And while all this might feel shallow, it's also deeply human. We dress for belonging, and in a digital age, belonging lives online. To be seen is to exist. To post is to disappear. The outfit then becomes proof of life, a daily act of self-documentation in a culture terrified of invisibility. But there's a cost to living through the lens. When every outfit must perform, we lose the quiet joy of dressing just for the moment. For the walk, the weather, the feeling, we stop experimenting out of curiosity and start curating out of fear. We dress less to express and more to optimize. Maybe that's the true irony of algorithmic fashion. It promises freedom from conformity, but delivers a subtle kind of obedience. Not to social etiquette, but to digital performance. And maybe the next evolution of style won't come from the next viral trend, but from something slower, quieter, and more private. Dressing for no one, dressing for the day, Dressing for the simple, radical pleasure of being unseen and still beautiful. Because perhaps the most subversive thing you can do in a culture of constant visibility is to stop dressing for the camera and start dressing for yourself. Chapter 5. When dressing up meant something. There's a certain tenderness in old photographs. A woman standing on a church step in her Sunday hat, smoothing the folds of her skirt. A couple at a train station. Him in a pressed suit, her gloves, and a travel coat. Faces bright with departure. Dinner parties where cigarette smoke curls above sequined shoulders, and every guest has taken care to look right for the night. In these moments, the clothes weren't just about appearance. They were about acknowledgement. Dressing up was a language of respect. For the place, for the people, for the event itself. The act of preparing an outfit was an act of presence. It said, "This matters, I am here and I'm showing up beautifully." That's what we've lost. Not the glamour or the polish, but the ceremony of it all. The slow ritual of getting ready. The anticipation that built in front of the mirror. The choice of earrings wasn't just decorative, it was symbolic. A way of aligning your inner world with the outer moment. The scent you wore became part of the memory. The soundtrack of the night that might stay with you forever. These were small gestures. Ironing a blouse, tying a tie, buttoning a cuff were quiet, sacred acts. Dressing up wasn't only about how you looked. It was about how you entered the world. It was a kind of emotional preparation, a soft transition from the private self to the public one. The transformation carried meaning. It wasn't vanity, it was reverence. When you look back at those black and white photos, you can sense the reverence in the posture and the care. The world demanded effort then, and in return, it gave people something rare, a sense of occasion. Getting dressed was how you paid attention, how you made time visible. Today, the slowness is almost gone. We throw on clothes in a rush, half distracted, scrolling while we dress. The act has lost its texture, and in losing that texture, we've lost a form of mindfulness that once tethered us to the moment. Clothes used to guide the rhythm of our days. Morning outfits for errands, evening dresses for gatherings, pajamas that marked the soft descent into rest. Now we live in the endless blur of elastic waistbands and multi-purpose outfits. Garments that can take us from bed to Zoom call in a grocery store without ever asking us to shift our state of mind. There's convenience in that, yes, but also a quiet loss. Without the costume change, the performance of life loses its cues. In the past, getting ready for something was an act of emotional pacing. Women in the 1950s, for instance, would often begin preparing for an evening several hours in advance, bathing, setting the hair, painting their nails. It wasn't about impressing others, it was about inhabiting the evening before it even began. The ritual itself created anticipation. Even men, polishing shoes, knotting ties, strengthening jackets, participated in the dance of transformation. These gestures said, "I'm stepping into something meaningful." Now, we prize spontaneity over ceremony. We tell ourselves that authenticity means showing up as we are. No pretense, no polish. But maybe we've confused authenticity with apathy. Dressing up wasn't about pretending to be someone else. It was about honoring who you were becoming in that moment. It was a kind of respect, not only for others, but for the life you were living. It's strange to think that a simple act, choosing a dress, buttoning a shirt, could hold spiritual weight. But it did, because effort was in itself a form of love. You dress for weddings because you deserve celebration. You dress for all of your occasions because they deserve beauty. You dress for dinner because gathering deserved attention. The clothes were never just fabric, they were the tangible evidence of care. And today, absence of dress codes mirrors a deeper absence, not of taste, but of reverence. We have become uncomfortable with sincerity, allergic to being sentimental. To dress up now feels almost vulnerable, as if care itself has become outdated. We hide behind comfort, but what we're really avoiding is exposure, the exposure that comes with saying, "This matters to me." There is something quietly tragic in that, because when every day looks the same, when every outfit feels interchangeable, the world starts to lose rhythm. There are no longer clothes for beginnings, for departures, and for arrivals. Just the same uniform for convenience. Neutral, soft, and efficient. But life is not efficient. It's ceremonial. And maybe that's what dressing up used to remind us of. That even in the smallest moments, there was something worth marking. Something worth celebrating. A dinner, a birthday, a Sunday. The chance to step outside yourself and meet the world and looking new. When we stop dressing up, we stop punctuating life with meaning. We stop telling ourselves that certain hours are special. We blur the extraordinary into the everyday until everything feels the same. and we call it freedom. But maybe real freedom isn't about wearing anything at all. Maybe it's about choosing to care. Because when we take the time to dress for something, to put on lipstick before meeting a friend, to iron a shirt before a date, to choose a fragrance for a night out, we aren't just preparing our appearance, we're preparing our spirit. We're saying this moment deserves my attention. And in a world that moves faster than feeling, maybe that's the most radical thing we can do, to slow down long enough to get ready for it. So yes, look back at those old photos. The train stations, the dinner tables, notice the shine of a shoe, the tilt of a hat, the way someone's fingers graze their necklace just before the flash. Those people weren't just dressed up, they were present. And that's what made it beautiful. We often talk about fashion as frivolous, as something shallow, fleeting, and unserious. But what if getting dressed was never really about clothes? What if it's about consciousness, about how we choose to meet the world each day? Because beneath the fabrics, beneath the silhouettes and the trends, there's something profoundly human about the act of getting ready. It's a small daily ritual that says, I am alive and I'm preparing to be seen. It's not vanity, it's participation, a way of saying yes to the day, to others, and to yourself. Somewhere along the way, we stopped seeing it that way. Convenience replaced ceremony, the screen replaced the mirror. The moment we once dressed for became the content we now dress as. We tell ourselves we've evolved beyond the dress codes, that we're free from outdated rules and rigid expectations. And yes, in some ways that's true. The world is more expressive, more inclusive, more experimental than ever before. But in dismantling the old systems, we may have forgotten what made them meaningful, the sense of reverence that came with effort. Dressing up used to be a small act of devotion to the moment, to the people around you, to the version of yourself that wanted to show up beautifully. It wasn't about wealth or status, at least not always. It was about care. It was about saying, this matters enough for me to prepare for it. Now that reverence has been replaced by speed, we wear whatever's clean, whatever's comfortable, whatever looks acceptable on camera. We call it authenticity, but sometimes it feels like absence, an absence of emotional minimalism. We've mistaken apathy for ease, and yet underneath that apathy, there's still longing. You can feel in the resurgence of vintage style, in the return of ritual through slow living, in the quiet nostalgia for an era when people dressed up for life. Somewhere deep down, we crave meaning again. The kind that can't be downloaded or delivered in a 2-day shipping. Because clothing, when it's intentional, roots us in time. It creates texture in our days. It reminds us of the certain moments are worth distinguishing from others. That a dinner with friends isn't the same as a day at home. That celebration deserves preparation. That even in the smallest rituals of care we find connection. Maybe that's what we've been missing in our age of convenience. Texture. The friction that makes us feel alive. The slow unfolding of anticipation, the sound of a zipper, the scent of perfume, the final look in the mirror before stepping out the door. Those little pauses are what keep the world from feeling flat. We've been taught that effort is outdated, that to try is to cling to something old-fashioned. But maybe trying is the most tender thing we can do, because effort isn't just work, it's love translated into action. So maybe the future of fashion isn't about the next aesthetic trend or viral outfit. Maybe it's about discovering the sacredness of preparation, dressing as a ritual of presence, not performance. To get dressed slowly, to think about the fabric against your skin, to choose earrings not because they're trending, but because they belong to your grandmother. To apply lipstick not for a photo, but for the feeling. Because when you care enough to dress for that moment, you remind yourself that that moment matters. And maybe that's what the death of dress codes is really asking us, not to return to the rules, but to rediscover the meaning behind them, to bring back intention into a world that confuses convenience with freedom, to replace optimization with attention, because attention is the most beautiful thing we can give to each other, to ourselves, to life. So the next time you get dressed, pause. Don't ask if it's on trend. Don't ask if it fits the vibe. Ask if it fits the moment. Ask if it reflects how you want to show up in the world today. Because maybe getting dressed isn't about fabric and form. Maybe it's a form of prayer. A way of saying, I'm here, alive, and this matters. And in a world that moves too fast to feel, that might be the most elegant thing you can ever wear. And thank you for watching. I mean, for me, I think a lot of it is the reason why people dress so casual is convenience. Like, we don't have time anymore, and it's just easier to put on our uniform. And so many people work from home home. Everyone just wants to be comfortable now. And because everyone's doing everything like online and digitally, we don't really need to dress up anymore. We go shopping online. We even meet friends online. Like everything's just online and digital, so we just don't feel the need, and we're interacting less. But yeah, it's true. If you go look at like old street photos, even from like even the 70s and 80s, people just dressed up way more, and like not everyone looked the same, and everyone just dressed really elegant. I'm not saying I want to go back to vintage values, but there is something to be said about dressing for the occasion and how things have just gotten so casual and sloppy. I mean, I doubt anything will ever go back to the way it was. It's just interesting how every decade it just keeps getting worse and worse. I don't know. It's just my opinion. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, thanks for watching.